All right, welcome back for another video in computer science. And today we're going to talk about creating accessors, also known as getters, because the point of an accessor is to allow us to get information out about our class and about the objects we create from our class. So, for example, at this point, all these updates we've done and all these things that we're printing out, it's all from our toString method that we created earlier. And it's all printing out games and wins and all of the information, but sometimes we want a little bit less. We just want to know and make sure that just the game's updated or just the wins updated. We don't want this giant blob of text. And so we're going to dive into getters, and also known as accessors, to get specific information. So it's fairly common that you allow access to most of the information about your class, that you allow people to see it. And so we could write a couple getters on our own, and then I'm going to actually show you how we can use Eclipse to generate getters on its own. It can generate getters itself because they're really, really simple. So our goal here for this video is to create 4 getters. One to get the location, one to get the name, one to get games played, one to get games won. That way, if we want to access specific information about our team, we can access just that one piece instead of getting the giant printout. So we have a location, a name, a games played, and a games won. So if we want to get information, so far with our mutators, we always return void. That's because we weren't getting any information out of our class. Well, now we are, and so we have to tell it what type of information we expect to get back. So if we're writing a getter for team location, well, team location is a string, therefore our getter method is going to have to return a string. And this is typically, when you write these, you typically just say get team location or get, something that makes sense here. I'm going to do get team location. And if we're getting information, we no longer need inputs. This method, its whole job is just to get the team location. Well, as the class, I don't need to know any information to get that. It's already there. It's provided. It's part of the class. So we're going to get team location. Now, it's important to note, when you create a method that returns something, a string, an int, a double, if it returns something, that return type is going to be given here, and that method, you've now promised that when you call this method, I'm going to give you back information. But at this point, you have not given back any information, so we have an error. You're always going to get this error when you have a return type that is not void. And basically what it's saying is, you promised me you were going to give me a string to give back when I call the method, but you have not given me that string. So the question is, how do I tell the computer I want to give back the team location information, that string for it? Well, if we're giving a value back, we're going to use the keyword return. So return is useful in accessors, any method that's going to give information out. So when I call the method, I want information back. So that means I'm going to use return. So we're going to return the value stored in team location. So we're going to return team location. And that's it. That is our whole getter. It's a really, really simple method. Public string, because the thing that we're returning is a string, the name of the method, and then nothing in parentheses. And in the method, we just return the team location. It's really, really simple. So what does this translate to when we're calling the method? So we do elon.get team location. Oops. There we go. We can do this. Does it do anything? Well, let's see. Nothing happened. So we're trying to get information out, which means that we'd probably like to print it or see it or do something with it, but nothing's happening. Well, that's because we're returning a string, but just because we have a string doesn't mean it prints, right? Even if we do like string str equals test, the word test is not going to print to the screen here, right? It's just going to be saved in a variable. Well, what we're doing right now is a little bit equivalent to actually just typing like test semicolon, or in our case, the team's name is Elon, so it's like typing Elon semicolon. This is not a very helpful or useful thing we've done. It doesn't print anything out. It doesn't get saved anywhere. We just say, here's a string, and we do nothing with it, right? So that doesn't make sense. We don't want to just get a string and do nothing with it. So we would either want to save it in a variable, string maybe Elon name, or Elon, I guess I should say Elon location equals Elon.get team location. So now we're effectively writing Elon string Elon location equals Elon. You can think of when you call an accessor and you type return, you can think of kind of replacing that method call with the value that you return. So for Elon, that value is the string Elon. And so that's what we're returning here. So we're kind of saving it in a variable. For our purposes, maybe it just makes sense to print it though. We could save it in a variable. We could also just print it directly. So let's just print it directly. So again, imagine replacing this method call with the value you return, which is the team location, which is Elon. So we should just print out the word Elon here. So that's kind of how return works and how accessors work, getters work. This word return returns the value of the variable that, or of the thing to the right. So team location is the string Elon. It returns the word Elon, which means that you can basically think of it like replacing the method call with that string. And so then you have to do something with it. We either print it or save it in a variable to print or use later. But as long as you do something with it, you'll be able to see that information or use that information as we go. So I could write a couple other quick getters. Public string get name. That's our next variable. This is our mascot name, and we would just return name, right? I could get games played, which would be, let's do that one real quick, public int get games played, and we would return games played. And I could do public int get games won and return games won. So this is all my getters. This allows me to get each individual method or each individual member variable or instance variable. So if I copy and paste my little getter example here, and I get name, and I get games played, oops, with a capital G, and get games won, I can now demonstrate that I've gotten every value of relevance from my class. Elon is the location, Phoenix is the mascot, games played is 2, games won is 1. So I can get each individual value using these getters. Now I mentioned you can also generate them automatically. To do that, oops, we would right click on our team and we would go to source and go to generate getters and setters. Now keep in mind this is totally not required. You can always create your own getters, but it's worth noting that you can generate getters for all of your member variables here. Now I've already generated the getters, so it's not going to let me generate them again, but I could also generate setters to be able to let people set the team location or set games played or set games won, and you can generate them using Eclipse here. So let me go ahead and actually do a full walkthrough on that as the last part of this video. I'm going to delete all the getters I created and instead use Eclipse to generate them. So I'm going to go source, generate getters and setters. We're going to select all. We're going to, let's see. Yeah, okay, so actually, sorry, we're going to select getters. I should have mentioned that when you do this, it lets you generate getters or setters. I'm just going to generate the getters in this case, so our accessors. So I just choose select getters for get games won, get games played, get name, get team location, and I'll click generate. And the exact code that I wrote out for you before has now been generated by Eclipse automatically. So it is worth noting that there is a way to generate these automatically because it's that repetitive and clear of a pattern. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that was helpful. And I will talk to you guys next time.